Hey y'all. So I had some people that were asking me to do like a full garden tour since they saw kind of a sneak peek the other day. So I'm gonna walk you through what we've got going on. But just be aware that some of this stuff we're experimenting because this is a whole new land for us and the soil is not really the greatest. So some places we're amending the soil, some places we've already amended the soil, some we've got in pots. We're experimenting with lots of different ways to grow lots of different kinds of food. And so I'll kind of explain that as we go around. But just know there's a whole variety of how we're growing things. So here we go. So the first thing is the greenhouse next to the dog's house. But we had shown a little bit the other day when I went through here. It's not a big greenhouse right now. We have a second one that we're trying to assemble right there. We got lots of pots that we're trying to fill. But this is basically our little greenhouse that we put together to get us a safe place from the dogs to start our seeds where they can't get to them. And I'm going to take you over here, and I have clothes on the line, so I'm going to try to go around it. So this whole row of pots right here is all cucumbers and tomatoes. This is my husband's baby. He loves cucumbers. You can see we've got some right there that are growing well, and they're all doing pretty good. We've got more seeds over here. They're started. Some of these are like perennials and medicinal herbs that I'm growing, including the clover. That's intentional. We're growing that for a number of reasons. And then over here, I've got my loofah gourds next to my barn. Looking fantastic. And then we've got some garlic started that we need to get into the ground soon. And this is the property that backs up to us. All right, and I briefly showed you all this garden the other day, but this is next to our outdoor pavilion. We've got sugar pumpkins, butternut squash, and tomatoes that we're actually going to be trellising today. All of this because it's gotten big enough that we need to do that. And if we go this way around the house is right there. We come around. And so we're working on a raised garden bed right here. We haven't really made progress on it. We've had other things that we're trying to do. We've got a couple red maple trees that we're trying to save up there that somebody tossed out. And then we've got some other stuff around the yard that I'm going to show you as we go. So of course we've got my green stalks, which I showed you all the other day, right here. And in this tall one right here, I'm going to put some drainage holes in it because you can see it collects water. I want to grow some burdock in that because burdock roots get really long, like up to 3 feet deep. And so I'm going to plant some in there for medicinal purposes. This is our tropical garden. A lot of this we brought from our other house. Some of the sago palms a friend of ours gave us. Shout out to Blanche Kiter. So anyway, this is our little tropical garden. So this will get fuller over the next couple years. We've got more pots here with some herbs. I got some catnip, chives, mint, purslane. And then we've got, I don't know if you can see, but we've got like fig trees planted throughout the yard. This one actually has fruit on it. Again, we're saving these. They were in dire shape when we rescued them, and they're starting to come back. You can see we got those. This is a more established one that we brought from our other house. Here's another one. And then we've got some pear trees over here. So we've got 3 that we've set up right here. This is one right there. I'm gonna take you over here on the other side. Don't mind the pots and the bags because we're working out here today. This is an apple tree right here. And then all along this fence, we've got, I'm sorry, my camera's acting wonky. So right here, we've got, all the way down, we've got blackberries at the other end. We've got grapevines that are coming down here. And then if you turn this way, we've got an avocado tree, another grapevine. This is our apple tree. That is a mango or guava, I can't remember which. This is a moringa, I think also called a tree of life tree, but it's a moringa tree. Then we've got peach trees. I've got 4 of those. These are all peach. This one we were trying to save from the rescue of several trees that we did. So we got 4 peach trees. This is a kumquat tree. You can see the little fruits right here. Those will be ready sometime in probably January-ish, give or take. At a mandarin orange tree. I've got a couple lemon trees and lime trees. This is a plum tree. That's another lime. An olive tree, a pomegranate tree, and then a loquat tree in the back there. And everything else that's in here, if you can see, some of it's in sad shape because we've had a lot of rain and some of it got washed out. But this is St. John's wort right there. Back there I've got some lemon balm, woolly lamb's ear, purslane, bee balm. This is self-heal right here, which is another medicinal herb. All of the things that are in this garden are medicinal and edible for various things. I've got lavender growing back there, rosemary at the front. Anyway, but we put the straw down because, again, we're trying to amend the soil and make it a little bit more, for lack of a better word, nutritional, I guess, for the plants, because the carbon will break down along with, we're putting the rabbit manure and different things as we clean out the animal hutches. We're putting that down, so that adds some nitrogen to it, and that's how it's progressing. But this will eventually be, you know, a full orchard with all the trees growing and all that, and we'll prune it to make sure that they grow well together. And this is the view from the front of the yard. So right here we've got climbing roses, again, that we're getting established. We just got those this year. They're growing well. You can see all the new growth right there. This is a honeysuckle vine. And then the rest of the fig trees that I showed you earlier. Okay, so this is the side where, you know, I had said that we had the grape vines right here. So this is from the other side. That's a blackberry right there. And then, but I wanted to show you this extravagant, beautiful thing that Allie's made for me using an old palette. So all of this is lettuce that's growing in here, and it's doing really well. One of the reasons that we're doing things like this is to show that you can use what you've got. You don't have to invest in some extravagant raised beds or things like that. You can use what you've got. This is another experiment we've got going on. So I have a basil bed right there and raised bed, amended soil that we collected from around the property, and then added some worm composting or some worm castings to. And then this is one that we didn't do anything to. We just put it in there. And as you can see, they're actually doing pretty well without doing anything with this soil. I suspect because there's so much leaf debris that's broken down that has fed the soil with organic material. So these are two more, you know, kind of like, I don't know, I guess we like experiments. So that's kind of what it's got going on. So anyway, and then over here, this is like my meditation corner, but the dogs have chewed up my chairs, so, which is a little disappointing. So we're in the process of trying to work out other options with this. But I've got some dragon fruit here. We have not planted yet because we haven't decided where we want it to go. I've got some gardenias right there, aloe vera, and then this is a real pretty like succulent that I got for Mother's Day. And then this is another honeysuckle vine, and these are both elderberry trees that I have back here that we need to get in the ground, but for now are in pots. And we were thinking about putting the dragon fruit right here in this corner, but we just haven't really gotten it finished yet. So anyway, but that's that section of the garden. But as you can see, we've got, this is a blueberry bush. I have two of these. I don't know where Alex planted the second one. Anyway, but as you can see, we've got many different little pockets of things growing that we're filling in and making it work for us. Okay, so now we're gonna take a walk, and I'm gonna take you down. So the dogs have been playing in the water, can you tell? So for those who don't know, we have 1 acre that we purchased that's ours, which is what all this is here, right? The house and the farm spot. But we also have 5 acres that we're leasing from a friend of ours. And so we are working on now clearing. We've been working on clearing up this roadway and getting, this was all overgrown. And so we've been making use of the goats. You know, we cut the branches. Alex does that part and gives them to the goats right there. They eat it. We bring it back out here and then we move it over to burn it. or to stack it, depending on how big the wood pieces are. As you can see, he's got some stacked right there. So this is, over here is where we're gonna be working and leasing land. So one of the things that we're gonna do right here is, again, remember I said that we were experimenting with different methods to see what's gonna work best for us. And so over here, we're gonna lay out some landscape fabric right here and do a little test garden right here. And what we're trying to experiment with, oh, look at the pretty butterfly. Chase, don't eat it. What we're gonna experiment with is putting landscape fabric down just to kill everything that's here, but not remove it. And then we're gonna do a no-till bed and see how it does without plowing the ground, because we've been doing a lot of research. Let me turn this camera around. Okay, since I'm gonna talk for a minute. We've been doing a lot of research on soil regeneration and protecting the soil and making it more sustainable long-term for decades. And one of the things that we've learned a lot about is the microbes and microorganisms that live in the soil and how damaging it is to plow it up and to turn it up, and then to have to use a lot of chemical fertilizers and things to sustain it from that point. And so we are trying methods that don't require that. For one thing, we don't want to pay the expense of that. And then also because we have an abundance of animal manure, we have compost bins that we've got going on. So if we can figure out a way to do this without tilling the ground, with feeding the soil, regenerating the soil, we long-term will find a more productive, we hope, plan for us, for our homestead. So that's what we're doing. So this area right here, let me try, because it gets lots of sun right here, that's why we're looking at this as our next potential, because we won't have to clear a lot. There's these big trees back here, but there's a whole lot of land to work with here that we can use to get started with this test spot. And then we're gonna keep walking down here. And again, all of this is stuff that we've been cleaning up. We're still getting it cleaned up. There was a lot of debris that we're still working on. Kiva, you're a mess, girl. You got your bone? Got your bone? You carrying it with you? Are you protecting it from Taco? So back over here, it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if I can get it up high enough. I don't know if you can see back there, but there's a little pond. We've been little by little trying to clear out some of this right here, but there's a pond back there that we want to be able to use for irrigation up to the main garden eventually. You can kind of see it back there. And so the next thing we're trying to clear is all this right here. They like to escort me down to the garden. They go where we go. Okay, so one thing you should know about this garden, we planted sago palms along here because we wanted to create like a border so people didn't drive in there. They're a little bit soft right now because of the transplanting. They will come back and this will fill in this beautiful like hedge around here. Akiva, don't go in that garden. So we're gonna be painting this. We're actually hoping to do it today. If not, we'll be working on it tomorrow if the weather holds off, because it's kind of looking blah. But this is a project that we've been working on getting prepared for. We're also trying to run a water line here with a spigot. But this is the other part of the garden that we have going. And we've cleared out a bunch of it already because it's come to the end of the season, all that empty stuff over there. We had corn and pumpkins. They didn't do real well because, like I said, the soil here needs some attention. These are all various kinds of beans, a lot of pinto beans. So we're just letting them grow and then they'll dry. We got cucumbers over there that are producing, some okra. But what we've had a lot of success with, surprise, surprise, our Mexican family, is growing peppers. So we have a lot of banana peppers here. Those are tomatillos. They're looking fabulous. Got some cherry tomatoes over there. We've had a real serious issue with tomato hornworms this year. So they decimated. You can tell like parts of these tomatoes where there's like no leaves at all, where we didn't get to them in time, like this one right here. That was from the tomato hornworms. And then this right here is a butternut squash, which is doing fabulous. These are habaneros. Alex came down this morning and already harvested these. So they don't have any fruit right now because he harvested them this morning. The banana peppers I will get in a minute because that's my favorite. And then these are jalapenos, you can see right there. And then I've got one lonely pumpkin that's an heirloom pumpkin that I'm going to take up to the house. This is also a pest issue. That's a leaf-footed bug. It looks like it's at the end of its life and starting to die. I think that's what it is, but we'll see in a minute. Anyway, so this is like from the other end of the property that we're leasing. We're for sure going to be clearing out a lot more and preparing a lot more beds. We did these with a traditional plow method. And they did all right, but they definitely need some amending to the soil. And then also water, because without water, you know, it's hard. We've been trying to bring buckets up through there from the pond, or bringing water in trash barrels on the back of my truck. But that's been a really labor intensive process to do that. So anyway, but there you go. That's like the end of our garden tour. I hope you've enjoyed taking a few minutes and walking with us through all this. I apologize, it's a little bit long, but there was a lot I wanted to show you. And we'll have a lot more coming in the next several months as we continue to get things established out here. And it's amazing to think what God has allowed us to do in just a few short months. I mean, we didn't get moved out here until the first week of June. And so June, July to August, September, you're talking 3 months. We've done a lot in 3 months. And so when we look around and we see all the projects and all the things we need to do, it's very easy to get overwhelmed with what's not done. But if we pause for a minute and we look, and this is why it's been good for me to do this tour, because I can see what we've gotten done in that short amount of time, while still also working. Both of us are commuting to Charleston back and forth, which is, Alex is going 110 miles each way, once a week, and then 90 miles each way, another 2 times each week, and then I'm going twice a week that way too. So it's been a lot of fun, but it's been a challenge. It's been a lot of work, and so we're getting there. And we just want to share with y'all because we know that there's a lot of people that are feeling this pull, not necessarily to move to the country, but definitely to get a more sustainable option in place, to kind of not be dependent solely on grocery stores for food. And we want to help empower people to do that. For those who are new to following us, we started on 1/10 of an acre in the middle of the suburbs in North Charleston. And we just recently moved out here and enlarged our tent, so to speak, and expanded. And so now we're seeing what God wants to do with us here in this new space after we have maximized the other space. So start where you are, start with what you have, and watch what God does. Have a good day. Bye.